Quick question before we get into this.
Yes.
What sound does a rabbit make?
Probably the same sound as
just
squirrel.
I feel like squeak.
Actually, here we go.
Do you
Let's
know
do this.
that? Yeah.
The same as a squirrel.
Same as a fox. Wait, is there a rabbit in the fox song?
What does a fox say, you mean?
Oh,
Yeah.
it's cute.
Because don't they do other
It's a
sounds?
rabbit.
My
What's the
heart.
sound a rabbit makes?
Oh.
All right, what is up, people of the internet? Welcome back to another episode of the Waveform podcast. It's a busy one. We're your hosts. I'm Marques,
I'm Andrew.
And I'm David.
and it's CES week. As of the time you're watching this, CES every January sort of kicks off the year, so we've got a lot of new things in the tech world to just ponder about and talk about. We're not there physically. We do have some people who are there on the ground, and we're going to talk to them as well. I'm looking forward to that. But we also have a bunch of the little stuff that we've seen that you guys have sent us. There's also some new Vision Pro news, an iPhone falling out of a plane, a Rabbit AI keynote, just a lot of stuff. So we're gonna talk about all of that. Also, we had a small adjustment correction from last week. We were talking about the Xiaomi SU7.
Yeah, and we said it had 1,200 kilometers of range, but
Well, there was going to be a version supposedly in the future that had a long range, that is a larger battery that had 1,200 kilometers of range.
yeah, and I guess it was actually a blog post talking about a potential different battery and a platform, I guess, rather than the specific SU7, and that it would theoretically have 1,200 kilometers of CLTC range, which also everything we talked about last week was CLTC, which is estimation by China's standards, I believe, and it is apparently far worse.
Yeah, for those who don't know,
EPA.
when you look at the mileage rating for a car, there's a rating based on the government agency in that place. And in the US, we have the EPA rating, the Environmental Protection Agency, I guess, right? Let me just double check. I make sure it's the same EPA. But in Europe, they have WLTP. And that's different. And that gets a different rated range for the same exact car. And in China, they have CLTC. And apparently CLTC ranges are dramatically more generous. I'm sure it's not a coincidence that they happily fed that number as the headlines everywhere. But just so you know, a CLTC range of 500 miles will probably not be the same as an EPA range,
which is already
of 500
generous,
miles, which is also already hard to achieve. So that's our little correction from last week.
and also very minor correction. Max RPM is 27,000, not 35,000, and the maximum horsepower is 673, not 668.
Oh,
Cool.
So yeah, Xiaomi essentially didn't announce a car with a 1,200 kilometer battery option. They announced a car and then also announced a battery that could theoretically have a 1,200 kilometer CLTC range.
In theory.
Theoretically. It says
So it's not tied to a car.
in the fine print. It literally says theoretically. So there you go.
The maths.
The math.
That's what it says.
Lots of math. Good stuff. All right, where do we jump in first? There's so many stories to possibly talk about. I kind of just want to talk about the iPhone falling out of a plane and that being found in a backyard.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite stories. And it
I
also doesn't shock me somehow.
Really?
It
Fell from a plane.
Yeah,
so
but
it fell from a high place.
y'all heard of terminal velocity?
Marquez cracked his phone sitting on the ground,
Well, that's
falling
the
out
thing.
of his pocket.
Yeah, but it
Very
landed
fine.
in grass.
That's the difference.
Yeah.
It probably
So?
hit
And
a
it was
bunch
in
of
a case.
trees.
If
Yeah.
I fell out of a plane and landed in grass, it wouldn't matter.
You are not a flat, small piece of metal.
Yeah, your terminal velocity is a little different
Yeah.
from the phone. Yeah, apparently there was a Boeing plane that had this issue that was ignored for a couple flights, and then eventually one of the flights took off. So, okay, the basic story is there is an Alaska Airlines flight with a specific model of Boeing plane that was... There was an issue that was being ignored. I read an article about some lights that the flight attendants and crew were sort of ignoring for a while, and then one day they took off. Yeah, so already a weird start. One day they took off, and they should have paid attention to the lights because the seal of like the emergency door broke, and the door just got ripped off the side of the plane while they were flying. Not great. Thankfully, no one was hurt, but some things were sucked out of the plane as they were flying and landing. And there's this whole map that you can look up of where the plane was flying and then where underneath the plane people found debris in their backyards.
That's crazy.
Including a fully on, still in airplane mode with half battery iPhone that fell out of the plane and like landed in someone's backyard and was still fine.
I think it was the side of the road and the plug was in someone's backyard. Not that that matters all that much, but someone found it on the side of the road while looking for the plug. Also, I kept seeing the word plug and was trying to figure it out. And it's basically, I guess it's just what they call the temporary door, or not temporary door, but the emergency door. So it was a whole door that fell off of this
there's
plane.
a hole in the side of the plane. Wild.
And someone found the phone, half battery, screen on, still working, airplane
Probably got
mode.
pulled out of someone's hand. I think the cable was still plugged in. It got pulled out of the wall or something.
The charging cable is still attached in the bottom, but like ripped off from the actual cord.
USB-C, baby.
That's crazy.
It's either a 14 or a 15, so they're not sure. So it could be lightning.
I think they said it was a 14 Pro.
I think they said it was a dynamic island, so they couldn't tell if it was 14 or 15.
Wow,
But
no
it has
tech reporters
dynamic
have gone out and freaking out there. And
We
picked
need
up this
answers.
phone. We need to get the full answers. But yeah, there's a close up of the bottom of the lightning port. Whatever
it's
port it
awesome.
is, just like ripped out of the bottom of the
Yeah.
phone. Imagine, I don't want to imagine it, but imagine being on the plane just scrolling through Twitter or whatever they were doing, and then it just gets sucked out of your hand out of the side of the plane.
Honestly, nightmare fuel. This is like my worst fear.
This is definitely my worst fear.
Terrifying.
We should have trigger warning before the beginning
All
of
of
this.
that model of plane has been thoroughly investigated since then. A bunch of flights have been canceled with that plane. They're going to
Really?
tighten all the bolts. We should be fine.
Also,
we should be fine.
No one was injured.
No one was
Yeah.
hurt.
Yeah.
Someone
thank
had their
God.
shirt ripped off, but
Yeah.
that was
That's
not-
wild.
Amazingly, so like no one was sitting in the seat right next to
Yeah.
the door,
Thank God.
and no one was pulled out of the plane. But the fact, I'm actually given confidence by this.
Yeah.
The fact that the door can be pulled off the side of the plane and they're still gonna land it and everyone's fine. Man, when I see those wings wobbling in the storm, I'm like, yeah, we're good.
At least no one was sitting in the window.
That could have been bad.
because they probably would have gotten sucked out.
Yeah.
Even a seatbelt probably would have been.
Yeah, but how
Fine
often do
there.
you take off your seatbelt immediately after? They're like, you could take off your seatbelt.
Don't do it anymore.
No,
we'll
I'm
follow
staying
the
on the
rules.
whole time.
Follow
If
the
you sit
rules.
next to that door, you should keep your seatbelt on.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Crazy story. But hey, a new phone story.
Yeah, this is the drop test of all drop tests. I think. And also just definitely goes to show you that breaking your phone is so much luck. Because you can drop your phone from 2 inches off the ground and shatter the screen
Right.
or the back, or you can drop it from a plane and it'll be fine.
And it'll be fine.
Whoever the case manufacturer of whatever that phone is needs to find out immediately. Did you see that Stanley Cup that was in the car that caught on fire and it still had ice in it? They made a huge marketing push with that.
Oh,
This case manufacturer needs to hop on the same thing and be like, we're the case that fell out of a plane and we're fine.
That's super funny.
that's a good ad.
I want them to repeat the test. Throw it out of a plane. Let me make sure it works.
The funniest thing about this too was that when they found the phone, someone found it in their backyard or something. It was still unlocked and on, and hadn't died yet.
Yeah, it felt like 6,000 feet. So whatever that guy's screen out time was, it probably had a screen on for 5 minutes and just stayed on.
Well, I don't think that he had any sort of screen lock on, because I don't think they found it right away.
I have a 10-minute screen off on my phone.
Yeah.
So if I leave my phone for 10 minutes, the screen will stay on for 10 minutes.
Right.
So he could have
Maybe.
5-minute screen out and it'll still stay on for the duration of that fall.
Yeah, it's
Good
hilarious.
for them. Good for them. All right. A little bit of Vision Pro news, actually. So Apple did announce the dates of Vision Pro pre-orders and availability in the US. I believe it's February 2nd for availability. No, yeah.
Yeah.
And then when is the pre-order? It's January 19th,
I think.
So if you are just itching to spend your $3,500, at least now you have the dates in the US when you'll be able to do that. Something also that sort of got surfaced from that is there's new media of the Vision Pro, and the head strap looks a little bit different from the way it did in the keynote.
A lot different.
There's essentially a new head strap.
Yeah.
And what's happening is Apple announced the Vision Pro and shot all these videos and revealed what it looks like so long ago that they've actually made improvements to it before it's shipping, which is actually, I think, a good thing. And it appears now that there's an article saying that they're going to ship with 2 different head straps in the box.
Is there that's confirmed or not confirmed, but rumored now? Because first thing.
It seems to be confirmed. It's an article saying, here's what comes in the box with Vision
Oh,
Pro.
really? Okay, I didn't see
Yeah.
that. I saw them. So Mark Gurman tweeted. He it was this new head strap, says old versus new head strap top design. The idea of the new strap is seemingly so your head doesn't want to fall off after half an hour of use. I think people will be surprised about the weight in the initial use.
Yeah.
So there's one band that is just a solo knit, the one that's like famously in all the videos where it's just around. And then there's the other that's a 2-piece, which is one band behind your head and another part that goes over the top of your head. So it's a little less all the weight on your face.
And it was originally marketed as you keep that thick knit one, and then there was another piece that went over the top.
Right.
But this new version is much smaller. The straps are basically identical thin. The one that goes behind looks like it goes down further on the back of your head, assuming to create more leverage.
Just to hold the weight.
And then also the one on top, which looks far different. And I know you said it's to make it feel better, which I think is that. But also, I have a really hard time believing that original knit, they didn't know it felt bad and was super heavy.
Well,
but I think it looks so much nicer that in marketing material, it makes sense.
Yeah.
And I don't love
So I think Apple knew going in that this was a heavy headset, but I think they aesthetically wanted a one-piece band. And so their engineering solution was this really big, flexible thing on the back of your head.
Yeah.
And it still works, but that headset is heavy.
Yeah.
It's just really heavy for a VR headset because of all the metal and the extra screens and everything. And I think they're finally just going, we need a 2-piece.
It's kind of a bummer because I really liked the mesh, the thick mesh part of the headset.
Yeah.
And it was comfortable, but it definitely, after about half an hour of use, started to feel really heavy. And the 2 times that I used the Vision Pro, I had to adjust it like on my face multiple times.
It kind of reminds me of AirPods Max. AirPods Max are heavier than any other headphones that I regularly use, and they have this pretty big band on the top that tries to sort of distribute the weight in a bigger way, but after a while, you kind of just you're wearing heavier headphones and you just notice that.
Right.
I think it's going to be even more noticeable with this headset because, as people have pointed out, the immersion factor of a VR headset is where you don't feel like you're wearing anything. You're just walking around in this new world, and if this weight is like pulling down on your face, like that's going to take away from immersion.
And if you're adjusting it, like David said, constantly, that's
it's tough.
That's kind of defeating the whole purpose. I don't think we're going to see this strap in any marketing though at all. The other one looks so much better, is so much more Apple. I think the headset looks way more generic with the new double strap they're showing.
They'll just show it from the front every time, so you can't tell.
I think they'll show it with the old strap on and just one.
Yeah.
I think in like all marketing. I wouldn't doubt here's the question, at an Apple store, if it's there, which strap does it have? Do you have the strap that looks really good on the shelf for everyone, but then people put it on and notice that it's uncomfortable?
Yeah, because in the box you'll have the other one.
Yeah, but if you're just trying it for your first time, is Apple going to have kind of like a VR station?
Yes, they are. Yeah, they're letting you. They're doing like a first come first serve basis thing where you show up and get in line and you can test it. HTC used to do this in Microsoft stores. The first time I ever used a Vive was in a Microsoft store, and they had so many materials that they would use to clean the device over and over again, and change the straps and change everything every single time someone would use it. But it's definitely gonna be interesting because exactly 1 week from today, the day that you were all watching this on Friday, that's when this thing goes on pre-order, which is pretty wild.
It's still such a strange timeline. It's like a weird product release. No one has ever, as far as I can tell,
don't say that,
shown footage of anyone wearing it outside of the commercials.
Sorry.
Like you can't order this without, like there won't be reviews, I don't think. Like before you can order it.
I feel like so many more.
I doubt before you can order it.
So that's usually a red flag for us when you when the pre-order goes live and there are no reviews and there's not even any footage of any human using it outside of like the headquarters. It's kind of crazy.
That's kind of happening with. Is the iPhone like that now, though? We get first impressions, but we don't get reviews anymore. But usually our review embargo is around the time it actually goes out. Right.
But even with this, there's no impressions. It's just like people talking about that time that they got to use it. No one got to use it on camera.
Oh, yeah.
It's just a little more restricted than everything else.
Yeah.
Red
flag. It's also, I can't remember the last time a big tech product has like come out earlier than everyone expected. Like this, they said early 2023, but let's be real, we all kind of expected that to be like end of
End
Q1.
of the first quarter, yeah.
Yeah, what's the latest possible that qualifies as early 2023?
Yeah, it's like literally the last minute. Like we were talking about,
we were talking about the weird
CarPlay.
Apple CarPlay thing. Yeah. They promised in 2022 that they would release more information by the end of 2023, and literally December 29th, they released like a shoddy, like half complete Photoshop job of a Porsche with CarPlay built in.
Someone was in the studio like, wait, I think we owe people something.
They've got like that.
We haven't actually done it.
Andrew made that joke yesterday. Like, there's like a Notion task of like due by end of year. They're like, oh crap, we have to.
Yeah.
So like this coming early February, I don't think anyone expected.
February 2nd.
That's wild. Yeah,
that's crazy.
Bright and early.
Yeah.
Cool.
So
can't wait till the whole studios.
You guys are getting it.
You're getting it for all of us, right?
I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to want to use. I mean, nobody knows what they're going to want to use Vision Pro most for, but I keep thinking what I'm going to default to doing the most is watching media. Like I had this vision of getting on an airplane and putting the headset on and watching a movie, and nobody talks to me the whole flight.
No. I want the full picture that you told me the other day.
Okay.
So what are you hiding from us?
I get on the plane. I sit down.
Oh no!
I put the Vision Pro on.
You get sucked out of the plane.
I put my.
Can't wait to find one of these on the side of the road.
You have no idea because you're in VR.
That would be a disaster.
I mean, mixed reality. Sorry.
So I sit down. I put on the headset. I put on my noise canceling headphones. And I am fully isolated from the world.
And
I just sit back. I sit back and I just like zone out, and I don't move for
slightly
4 hours.
drooling.
Yeah. When this happens, you need to buy me the seat next to you so I can record the steward tapping you on the shoulder and your eyes lighting up at them and watching them freak out. And
That's gonna be interesting.
I need to see that
because the etiquette of noise canceling headphones is all kind of built into the headphones, right? Like the Sonys have that feature where you put your hand over it and it like turns transparency on. The AirPods have a button where you turn transparency on, so you can theoretically leave your noise canceling headphones on but still interact with the flight attendant when they say, "Do you want some water?" or whatever. Yeah. With the headset on,
eyesight. Oh man,
it's built into the headset, but it's also a really new thing for them to look at someone with the eyes projecting out of the headset.
It's easier to tell, but it's just also terrifying.
They also haven't had eyesight on any of our demos that we've done.
Yeah, I'm convinced it's not working on those.
So it's either not working or they just don't want people to know what it looks like yet. Which is
I can't wait till Marques comes out of the airplane bathroom and his eyes are just lighting up down the dark plane red eye flight.
I cannot wait. Now the other thing is the battery life is not as long as a movie.
2 hours.
Yeah, and I was also thinking like if planes weren't uncomfortable enough, I now want my neck being torqued for an extra 2 hours.
That's why you have to get one of those like plane puffy neck strap things that keeps your head up.
That's a new Vision Pro accessory.
Just a neck brace.
Yeah.
A full on like paramedic neck brace.
Is this the future we wanted? I'm not sure.
But I've never watched a high quality movie on a plane before. It's either sitting on an iPad on a tray with like the window from the passenger across from me, like reflecting off the movie, or just the one built into the plane, which is not amazing.
That's true.
Imagine watching what I presume will be a fantastic quality movie with great audio.
Yeah.
And the 3 hour plane ride just evaporates because you're just locked into the movie.
I did like the movie theater experience that we got to do in Vision Pro. It like really feels like you're in an actual theater.
That's one of my mom's like selling points on the Oculuses. She's like, just put on Netflix and sit there.
That'd be sick. Yeah.
So except at a movie theater, everyone else on the plane isn't staring at you while you do it.
Yeah, you can watch whatever movie you want.
Question mark.
That is a good
The enormous question mark for this thing is what is the developer ecosystem going to look like once it comes out?
We all want to know.
I just want to know because it seems like Apple still doesn't completely understand what the use case for this product is because they keep pushing all they're pushing is like look at your panoramas, look at your spatial video, watch movies. But they don't have any like native apps that they think are killer apps that make this worth having.
They seem like entertainment based, right? Like watch multiple NBA streams at a time, or like
games.
More stuff like that. It will be. They definitely want some sort of work apps to be associated with it. Also like video calling and stuff like that. But
they're really leaning on developers though to make killer apps.
I still think this feels I still think the price tag is up there because this feels more like developers are supposed to be buying it, and they don't.
Sure.
They know the public's going to buy it, but it feels like a developer kit, like a really expensive developer
I don't think
kit.
that they want a lot of people to buy
I don't think they do either.
This is purely a vibe check off of like the people I follow on Threads and everything, but there seems to be a lot of like developer excitement for this at least.
No, I think there is.
Yeah.
I agree. I think there is, and that's what I think this is mostly for. And a developer is it's worth paying $3,500 if you're getting in the door early of an Apple VR, MR, whatever you want to call it, space, XR space.
With a new platform, or at least a new medium like this, that's where the excitement has to be, is at the developers first, because nobody who isn't a developer really knows why they would spend $3,500 on this thing if it only does what you can already do on your phone. So we're trying to, use Apple's built-in apps to give us a good idea of what it'll be good at. Oh, it's a nice screen. Oh, I can view media. It's going to look really high quality. But I need more to spend that much money on that. So developers are like, oh, my apps, I have all these great ideas. It's going to work well. Let me just code for it. Like, I hope that is where the excitement is.
Also, $3,500 is the starting price for the 256 gigabyte model, which seems like a very small amount of storage.
I can't tell. I think you're right. I think 256 is going to feel really small because a VR game could be 50 gigs easily. Right. So but what are the prices of the other? Is it a half terabyte and a terabyte? And then
I don't even know what the other prices
There's no rumors of any other sizes at this point.
Exactly. Yeah. I really feel like if you were paying $3,500, they should have given you a terabyte of storage, because NAND storage is so cheap.
It should be a terabyte.
It's so cheap.
They should just put it in a little thing you put in your pocket and add another cord up to the top for more storage.
There's a little.
Imagine just putting a flash drive in the side
of it. Diagnostic port where you put a dongle in and there's like a micro SD card slot like flapping out of the side.
Yeah.
That's not how it's going to work.
Yeah.
But imagine.
I'm very interested in, because it's so heavy, just how people are going to react to that. And we were joking yesterday, like, they should have made it out of plastic, but Apple would never make it out of plastic, and they'd sooner invent a new type of glass and metal that is lighter before that they used plastic on this thing.
Chiropractors out there right now are
carbon fiber would have been
licking their lips. They're going to be 4 boats soon.
Carbon fiber would have been kind of sick.
Yeah.
Do you want it to be more than $3,500?
Honestly, once it's over $3,500, like go for it.
It could be anything.
Just go for
$10,000.
It could be a car.
I can mortgage my house.
It could be a car. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, we got a lot of CES stuff to get into, so I think we want to leave some time for that. So I think we should take a quick break.
All right.
And then come back to do CES talk. But before the break, we should do trivia.
Okay, trivia. So we've been talking about the Apple Vision Pro. With the external battery pack, it's stated at having 2 to 2.5 hours with an asterisk. That asterisk is: testing consisted of full battery discharge while performing each of the following tasks: video playback, internet browsing, spatial video capture, and what popular Apple first-party app?
What are the 3 options?
Well, there's 4. There's video playback, internet browsing, spatial video capture, and what popular Apple first-party app? This to me says this is what they expect most people to be using this.
I have a guess.
Me too.
Just based on the videos.
Okay.
Yeah. But
wait,
we'll have to see if I'm right.
Okay. I'll let you ask the question again later.
I know it.
There's a battery estimate.
It's multiple
and the battery estimate they explain is we got 2.5 hours based on you doing these 4 things.
Exactly.
Adam named the first 3.
Yeah.
What is the fourth?
Video playback, browsing,
spatial video capture. And what?
I'm surprised that they include spatial video capture.
So was I. That's why I
because that
made
seems
this
like
question.
a pretty heavy task.
Well, and also, then they said you could capture on your phone after, which makes way more sense.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, you don't want to capture video?
No, I don't.
Dad, what are you doing? All right.
Answers will be after the show, as usual. We'll be right back. This episode of Waveform is brought to you by Visible. Okay, so Visible Wireless is one of our partners, and they're pretty great. They asked me to talk about why Visible might not be for you. Pretty refreshing, right? So Visible's base plan with unlimited 5G data on Verizon's network for $25 a month works great for a lot of people. So what's not to love? Well, they're all digital, so you do everything from managing your plan to getting customer service right in their app. If you love to handle everything without ever needing to talk to a human in a store, Visible's great. But if you need to shop for a new phone in person, Visible probably isn't for you, and someone like Verizon could be a better choice. If you want your wireless bundled with a bunch of extra stuff, don't switch to Visible. But heads up, you're going to have to pay for that extra stuff. And Visible is focused on just the wireless part of wireless. So if you want more than unlimited 5G data from your wireless plan and you want to pay top dollar for it, then by all means, don't switch to Visible. Don't even go to visible.com to learn more. You get it. Rate with service on the Visible plan. For additional terms and network management practices, see visible.com. All right, welcome back. So as I've mentioned, this is CES week. So as we're recording this, it's kind of the middle of CES week, and we've got some people out there at the show floor itself. We're going to throw it to our on-the-floor correspondent, Ellis, reporting from the field for us. Ellis, let us know what's going on the show floor.
Marques, I'm reporting live from the Hisense booth of the floor of CES 2024. As you can see, they appear to have set up some sort of wonderland, it seems. There's a giant orb of seemingly some sort of LED panel. We have the Sweets Island showing some sort of plastic recycling process. In about 1 minute, we're going to see the dancing car start over there. But it seems that here in the Hisense booth, things are fantastic and wonderful. Back to you, Marques.
All right. There are many orbs in Las Vegas.
There are many orbs. There are many displays.
The dancing cars.
That was like the perfect encapsulation of like if you could stand in one spot at CES and see CES.
Everywhere you turn, there's something else that you didn't expect to see.
I hope they went through the LG tunnel.
That's there every year.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I hope he did too. This is Ellis's first. We sent Ellis and Mariah. It's their first CESs, and they're perfect for CES.
Yeah.
They certainly had a lot to explore.
I think they're thriving out there.
I think we've got a little bit more from our correspondents
Let's see what
out
else
there.
he saw.
Let's pull up another one.
Marques, I'm sitting here on the central floor of CES. I'm actually in a car, believe it or not, made by TCL, known for their epic QLED televisions. I used to have one for years. It was great. This car, much like their television, appears to be great. I mean, look at this legroom. Just fantastic. You're not going to find this in any vehicle other than maybe a real-life limousine. Up in front, we have a giant wraparound OLED screen, 2 OLED screens with a notch a la Apple right here. All in all, great product. I hope we get to see it on the road. We probably won't. But all in all, just a fantastic product. And thank you for TCL for letting me sit in the back of this car. Marques, back to you.
Okay.
For audio listeners, car is a generous term there. It was 4 seats on the CES show floor.
The thing about CES is it stands for Consumer Electronics Show, but most of the things you see there aren't actually consumer electronics.
Yeah. They're not going to come out.
There's lots of car stuff at CES. There's a whole hall where you see like tons of different cars, and there's like a mobility section and the future of cars. And then once in a while you get an entire car that gets announced, and you're like, is this ever coming out?
The Sony Afeela.
The Sony Afeela? Really? That's coming out?
Apparently this year it was there and they drove it on stage with a PS5 controller.
Yeah, that happened. That's a real thing that happened. Think about that in any other context other than CES. They drove the Sony car on stage with a PS5 controller. If Tesla did that, you'd be like, come on.
Yeah.
Really? But that's what's happening. I suspect that wasn't a TCL car as much as it's a demo of how TCL technologies can be in a car.
Yeah.
You know, because, hey, we make screens, and guess where you need screens? New cars. So Ellis got a taste of all of those things.
Yeah, CES is kind of like a vibe rather than a product. It's like, here's maybe, like, it's like, here's a bunch of crazy stuff, and maybe 10% of it later will be pretty cool when you can actually buy.
I just felt like that video like perfectly encapsulated like car releases at CES. It's like I'm sitting in this thing, so maybe it's real. Most likely not. But look at how cool it is.
There's so many like quote unquote cars out there that are just like a box with a million screens and seats facing each other, and then there's like wheels outside.
I want someone to make a chart of the proportion of cars shown at CES whose seats do not face forward.
Yeah.
And how that has gone up over time.
Yeah.
Wait a second. You don't have to drive, so you could just
look at each other.
You just turn around. And that's become a thing.
Yeah.
All right.
I can't
Ellis
wait
is
for
out
that
there
day.
for one more segment.
Last video.
Hit us with it, Ellis.
Marques, I'm coming to you live once again, this time from the Venetian Expo Hall at CES. I am currently being jiggled by one of Dr. Fuji's, this appears to be a thigh and glute shaker.
Nice.
This is fantastic. I have to say, this is the best product, most innovation.
Shaking.
Frankly, I think the government should be buying these for people. It's a travesty that the rest of America hasn't been exposed to Dr. Fuji's wonder. If you're at CES, I highly recommend stopping by this booth. Dr. Fuji, would you like a word?
Yeah, thank you so much. This is a lifestyle. The CES Korean lifestyle. Fitness, health, like wellness. This is Dr. Boss.
Hi there. Vibration plate is actually vibration medicine. Nikola Tesla says it best. Everything is energy, frequency, and vibration. And when you figure out that everything is vibration, you figure out the keys to the universe. Thank you.
Oh. I couldn't have said it any better myself. Thank you very much. Marques, I'm going to send it back to you in the studio.
So, that reminds me.
Yeah. CES is a couple things.
Yeah.
CES is a vibe check. It's like, hey, here's our new tech. Interested? Question mark?
Yeah.
CES is also PR.
Uh-huh.
Here's our new thing. Come on. Write about it. That's what you're here for.
Uh-huh.
And CES is tradition.
Tradition. The tradition part of it is Dr. Fuji.
Exactly.
Okay, for those that don't know, Dr. Fuji...
I did not. Andrew had to explain this to me this morning.
Oh, I saw Dr. Fuji every year I went to CES.
It's your formative CES experience.
Yeah, he makes these vibrational pads that you stand on that are supposed to be good for your, like... They're supposed to, like,
There's been, like, decades of those kind of, like... I think it used to be you stood and there was a band, like, around your back and it would, like, kind of shake you. And this is now, like, more of a platform you stand on and it shakes. And like I think they do massage chairs also.
Holistic, core training.
Nikola Tesla said it best.
Well, she said, okay. It's funny. So I was in New Orleans a couple weekends ago and I walked by this like random like street vendor and he had a bunch of rings that he probably like bought from China and imported and sold to a lot of people. Mm-hmm. But this guy walked up and he's looking at it and he's like, you like that ring? He's like, yeah, my daughter likes purple. And he's like, you know why you like that ring? And he's like, well, it's purple, my daughter. And he's like, it's made of amethyst. You know what amethyst does? And he was like, what? And he says, amethyst has the same vibrational frequency as your body. So when you're touching amethyst, you're touching yourself. And I was like,
yeah.
All right, Dr. Fuji.
You're onto something there, man. Love that.
Anyway,
yeah. When you don't have to get FDA approval, you can just do whatever sometimes.
Yeah, that's true.
Look, CES is it's full of all kinds of wonders. I kind of, though, feel like we've sort of sat back, perched back a little bit, and seen a lot of the CES stuff from afar. Mm-hmm. Obviously, these guys have been in the thick of it, and that's what we've just witnessed, and I love that. Mm-hmm. But I'm curious what you guys have seen that you think is genuinely actually some of the best stuff from CES, like good stuff from CES.
Yeah, it's easy to make fun of CES, and that was the CES, but there is diamonds in the rough out there.
That's exactly how it's...
Finding them is tough. Mm-hmm. We sent people to find them for us this year, or the internet.
Yeah.
But I think we asked everyone to pick something they saw that was an announcement from CES.
Yeah.
Who wants to go first?
I can go.
Yeah.
Do it up.
Go.
So Razer every year has something it's usually in the same exact category. It's an interesting idea that you're convinced they'll never ship, but you're like, well, I could kind of see Razer shipping this. And this year they did it again. They called it Project Esther this year. And if you just go do a quick Google search for Razer's Project Esther, it's described as an HD haptics gaming cushion. You put this on your gaming chair, you connect it to your computer, and it, with super low latency, can deliver some of the effects of what you're feeling in the game through the chair. The back, the seat, the lower back, the whole thing. If you're playing a shooting game, allegedly, this is coming from a reviewer from Tom's Hardware.
Pause.
This is allegedly, you feel like you got hit by the gun. Like you feel some of the things in the game.
I call both.
Also, you can only get shot in the back.
You can only get shot in the back. This is a very valid point, Andrew. I want us to ignore that for a second. But imagine, like you've seen
Suspend belief.
You've seen the there's like sofas that you put
you
like
put subwoofers
on, like, subwoofers so you like feel the bass. Imagine feeling the bass from the music listening.
I'm making fun of it, but I actually think this is the least ridiculous thing Razer's like shown at CES. Remember Project Linda, which again was really cool, but I didn't think it was ever going to ship. That was the phone that acted as the trackpad of the shell for a laptop.
That was awesome.
I think Samsung and DeX should do something like that now because I actually think that's a really cool idea. But this looks really sick for like racing. Like I immediately look at racing games
where I think it would be coolest. Yeah.
There's people build all sorts of racing simulators. If this is a couple $100, you get a bunch of extra feel in a racing simulator. If you're putting it on the racing chair or the Razer chair, it's already like a racing seat. You throw a steering wheel and some pedals on this, and like I actually think this is pretty neat and very Razer.
Do you think they're actually going to release this?
I think this gets released.
This can get released. Allegedly, there's an SDK because as of right now, when you're doing that like subwoofer under the couch thing, it's just taking the speaker's audio already and choosing which frequencies to send where. So if there's some bass in the movie you're watching, then it's like, all right, we'll put that under your seat. If you're playing a game and there's a gunshot, maybe that specific frequency is like picked up by the software. But if you're working with the developer of the game itself with an SDK, they can choose exactly what to send where. So if you're doing a driving game, instead of just relying on the engine sound from the speakers, maybe the developer of the game can send the track bumps to your chair.
Yeah.
Which would be kind of sick.
It'd be cool.
So it has some potential.
And is it also RGB?
This picture shows RGB.
Let's be real.
I hope it's RGB.
CES.
There's only one photo I see with RGB, and considering all the other Razer ones don't actually show it, it just has like a green lining. I kind of think it's not, but I hope they make an RGB version. But the reason I think this,
Okay.
I mean, it's Razer. There's got to be an RGB version.
That's fair.
The reason I think this ships is because ultimately it's a high quality massage chair pad that they can specifically target sections, and that's not.
It seems totally a lot less insane than a lot of
exactly. It's a very reasonable product.
Yeah. In previous years, they had a tri-screen laptop that famously got stolen.
Oh, yeah.
That was really funny.
They had that monitor one year that I forget if it ever got released, but it was.
I think it did.
That was like early on of the like 4K high refresh rate or like crazy high refresh rate. It had like multiple cables going into it to achieve it, I think. Yeah.
Razer is one of the few companies that goes hard at CES.
Yeah. But Project Linda is one of my favorite things Razer ever released.
Yeah. So that's my pick. High definition haptics through your butt from the game. I was entertained by that.
I really liked, did you see the VinFast pickup truck?
I saw a picture of it.
I think it looks really cool.
Is it legit?
I mean, VinFast has been making a lot of cars. They released a pickup truck and also this little SUV that's like a 2-door SUV. It basically looks like if you took a Bronco Sport, took the back doors off and just smushed the trunk back up on it. But I like the truck because it just looks nice. It looks about the size of a Tacoma. And do you remember when the Silverado EV came out? And I know other trucks have done this, but it had like an opening. So if you were sliding like wood through the back bed of the truck, it could come into kind of the cab. This VinFast has the entire back seat able to fold down and completely open up to the cab of the truck. Bed. So yeah, not just the little bottom portion of it, but the entire part of it.
That's cool.
So I think that's awesome and gives you a bunch of extra space. I think it looks really cool. I like the size of it. It's smaller than an F-150, and the interior looks very CES. That looks very future fit.
I wanted to get into that.
I think that'll be. I don't know enough about VinFast. I have a hard time believing that's what that'll be, or if it is, this is going to be way more expensive than it needs to be.
Right. So
everything else.
This is a concept truck announced at CES. So my question is, if VinFast is actually going to make a pickup truck like this, how much of it will end up in the actual truck?
Right.
I think the design could, but this concept also has like, is this the Maybach doors, the suicide doors? What do you call the back door opens backwards? So you got the doors opening like that.
They open from the same point. From the same opposite directions.
I don't think that makes it. Nope. Pickup truck, not a good idea. I hope that the feature you're talking about with the
I could see that staying.
The tailgate.
I don't know what to call it.
It has a name.
The bed.
Something else gate. It's not the tailgate. It's like the
tailgate's what all the way in the back, what opens in to get to the bed of the truck. But this is where the bed and the back row of seats connects.
I think that feature would be nice to have in the real truck. I think the interior looks very much more like a normal truck than this.
The funny thing is I think if this truck as the concept was toned down 25%, I would like it better. And so that's why I think
be as cool at CES.
No, but when it sells later, if the interior is less flashy, if the exterior was probably a little more just normal, and then it still had features like that, I think this is a really cool truck.
There's not a lot of VinFast cars in the US, but I think
we haven't really gotten a chance.
Working on sort of actually breaking out and shipping them here.
Yeah.
Sick.
So I have two. I have one that is very expensive and may or may not even ship, and then I have one that is already shipping, which is pretty cool. So main one, LG Signature OLED T.
Okay.
Every year there's a lot of really interesting TV tech at CES. A lot of it doesn't make it out of CES, like 3D TVs that were a thing temporarily, and then everyone realized we're dumb. This is very interesting. It almost kind of looks like a fish tank, like a very nice little fish tank. But basically, it has the transparent TV portion in the middle, and because of this, with no black film on the back, you're able to give these like really cool 3D effects that make it look like there's like a volumetric type display inside of the TV. And they have a lot of interesting demos. I think that it could make for a very interesting piece of art, right? It's sort of like a different version of the Samsung Frame TVs that turn into static art. This is like moving art.
LG had a different booth, or like a side room filled with different displays, and they were using something similar to this as like a storefront window that was able to do like transparent video.
Yeah.
So like you could make your store pop a little more. And I think it was really cool. And this looks like that bundled down into like an interior consumer gadget instead.
It is interesting because a lot of the time the LG stuff does eventually ship. Like the rollable TV did eventually ship. Yeah. You can buy it. It's super freaking expensive. This will probably be freaking expensive if it ships. But you could turn it into a regular TV when you do. Basically, this black film lifts up in the back, which gives it contrast. So you're actually able to see what you're watching.
It's fascinating.
It doesn't look as good as a regular TV when it has the black film up, but it's like passable. So I think it's more for people that want to have an art piece in their house and then can also watch things when they want to.
Or to the rollable TV.
Yeah.
I mean, I could see this in businesses also as just like cool display units. I mean, yeah, LG is the one who I think they're the ones who at CES, they put crazy stuff out. And then I'm like, that's probably actually going to come out.
Yeah.
Might not sell a bunch and it's going to be super expensive.
Yeah.
But it's going to come out and it's going to be impressive.
Yeah. There's another thing that is actually going to ship like immediately called the Audio-Technica ATH TWX7. They are a pair of earbuds. And they're not that different from regular earbuds, except they have a feature built in that can basically play relaxing music, and it's like built into the headphones. And I know this seems like gimmicky, and you could just go on your phone and play the music from like something, whatever. But I listen to like naturey soundscape music when I'm writing, and I feel like the ability to just like pop these in and just press them and immediately have it play would be kind of nice. And Audio-Technica headphones already sound pretty good, so...
I mean, yeah, there's already a $200 Audio-Technica pair of truly wireless earbuds, which is probably worth it already.
Yeah.
Because Audio-Technica makes great stuff, and $200 is pretty standard price for stuff like this, so...
Hashtag not sponsored.
I mean, but if you want to send a pair, I won't be... I'm not opposed.
Yeah, so I just think that's fun. What is kind of nice is when technology comes out that has very low-key updates that are just kind of quality of life improvements. Most of CES is clearly just this like, we're reinventing this and it probably won't work and people probably won't buy it. But it's always nice when they're just like, we added this kind of nice quality of life feature to a thing that you already had. Yeah. Now, traditionally, that makes for a little bit more of a boring CES. Like a few years ago, the whole theme of CES was, we added Alexa to your fridge. We added Alexa to your microwave. Or your clock, but obviously this year it's AI stuff, which we'll get into in a little bit.
Put GPT in your toaster.
Yes, yeah. GPT toaster.
Yeah, I think this would be neat. I wish I could sleep with earbuds in because I think it would be awesome to just have earbuds in and just like hit the button and go to sleep with relaxing sounds.
There are the Bose sleep buds that they don't make anymore, I don't think.
But I just can't sleep with things sticking out of my ears.
Can you? Yeah. Not just like a white noise machine?
Yeah, but then everyone has to hear it. Versus just me.
Sounds like their problem.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
They can put earbuds in.
I just go with a fan.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay. That's Audio-Technica ATH TWX7.
Great. Yes. Please start naming earbuds better.
The names are getting longer. ATH M50 was the same number of characters, but easier to say.
Yeah.
ATH TWX7 it's getting a little harder to say.
Yeah.
Not sure why you're using all those letters, but okay.
Yeah.
I think those are good picks. Also, new PS5 colors.
Nice.
Red, white, and blue.
Adam has a pick too.
America.
What do you got, Adam?
What's your pick?
Oh, mine was the Monokey Systems. It's like a low-profile keyboard from, I think that's how you pronounce it, right?
Monokey, yeah.
I mentioned this just like offhand to Andrew that I want to do this, and he kindly gave me a paragraph or two of like cool specs to say and mention and comparisons and everything.
Monokey's a company that's already really popular in the mechanical keyboard space. I have a couple of theirs. They like started. They have super premium, like $500+ keyboards. Last year they released more like a $200 keyboard, but mechanical in stock. And now this is the low profile stuff because like, we're seeing a lot more with the popularity of the Magic keyboard. I think a lot of keyboard companies are like people like low profile, but let's make them nice and mechanical, not scissor switch. So like Keychron and Newfie have done it already, and they're really nice. And this is Monokey going into that range.
I knew none of that. I just saw it, and I was like, "This thing pretty. I want."
It looks really nice. It looks like. Have you seen that Work Louder keyboard?
No.
There's a company called Work Louder that's doing this low profile keyboard, except it's why can't I remember the name? Something linear, where all the keys rather than staggered are ortholinear, I think it's called, where all the keys are like in the same row, which is very different from all of us are using. It looks cool. It's very out there. It has like screens and knobs and everything. Just quickly, I looked again. Some of the Work Louder is ortholinear. Some of them is regular layout. But yeah,
all of them I want.
This is similar to that, but in a standard layout that people actually understand more, a little more low key. I don't know if you see a picture of it. Yeah, I think it looks really good. It's in silver and black, wireless, Bluetooth, and 2.4 gigahertz dongle, silent or tactile switch options, and available mid-year.
This keyboard is beautiful.
It looks really nice.
It looks really nice.
And I've really liked Monokey stuff as well.
Yeah. I didn't think I was going to want to buy a new keyboard so fast.
Same. It wasn't on my 2024 bingo card.
Nice. All right.
Yeah. Cool. I wish I got to see it. They invited us over to see it, but we didn't go. So
damn.
Oh, well, we should do another trivia, and then after the break, we're going to talk about that Rabbit R1 AI hardware product.
Can't wait.
Which we have a lot of thoughts about, and we will get into soon. But Adam, you want to throw us a trivia question?
Nah.
Okay.
Yes.
See you guys later. Oh, you're kidding.
Yes.
Right.
Always have a trivia question. All right. So we spoke a lot about cars on this episode so far. No. But one thing I found while looking up random facts about cars is that there are many different types of horsepower. Which of these isn't a real type of horsepower? A, drawbar horsepower. B, water wheel horsepower. C, electric horsepower. Or D, boiler horsepower.
I think I know the answer.
Interesting.
I don't.
I think I've got a random guess.
Me too.
Nice.
Because I forgot everything he said already. Perfect. I can put a letter down.
Yeah. All right. We'll do that after the break. We'll be right back. All right. Welcome back. We have one more thing to talk about. Surprisingly, the entire last section of the pod we've dedicated to this one thing because it's captured our attention so impressively that we have so many thoughts about it. Mm-hmm. Now, it was initially like teased on social media. This is, I'll just say, it's called the Rabbit, right? So this is this AI device assistant thing.
I think it's called
Rabbit
the R1.
Yeah.
Sorry, the company is called Rabbit, and we didn't know what it was called, but it was some Rabbit AI thing, and now we know it's called the Rabbit R1,
which is like Rabbit 1.
Well, it's like the Essential Phone PH1.
But that was phone.
PHONE. Yeah. Whatever. It's the R1.
The chip in the Vision Pro is an R1.
No, it's the
M2 plus R1. That's the other one.
I forgot about that one.
Yeah.
R1? What is the R1? Oh, the R1 chip?
To process
the other
the
chip,
visual data. We're off topic.
Anyway.
It's the Rabbit R1. And what the thing is it is a piece of hardware that has an AI built into it that can do lots of things based on natural language input. Lots of helpful things, lots of things that would normally take you a bunch of taps on a smartphone, lots of things that you might want to perform on a regular basis. It has a microphone, it has a speaker, it has a camera built in, it has a little screen on the front, and it's a little Rabbit AI that does all these things for you. Now, my first exposure to it, and I think yours was too, was a video of a bunch of people holding a blurred item because it wasn't revealed yet, giving it prompts. Mm-hmm. I'm going to actually play that video so you guys can hear some of the insane things that it was asking this thing to do.
Order me an Uber and find me a good podcast to pass the time. Oh, and tell everybody that I might be late.
That was delicious. Check the fridge and order the ingredients to make that again tomorrow.
Create a route that works with my goals. Then, start the best playlist to keep me motivated. Watch what I'm doing here. Process all my new photos today just like this.
Find us a nice restaurant near here, then get us there.
So you get the idea. It's very focused on natural language input and then just a super helpful thing that carries out the task for you. Now, I've been thinking about like AI assistants a lot lately, just because like we know Google Assistant's going to get better. We're waiting for Siri to get better. We already know Alexa and stuff are getting better. And I think the idea that we want them to be able to be good at is everything a human assistant would be good at.
Right.
Because most people don't have a personal assistant. So if your phone can be as helpful as possible and you can just tell it what to do and it can do it, that would be the ideal solution. But they've never quite gotten there. You have to speak in a certain way. When you wake up and talk to Alexa, you have to say, tell me what the weather is in this city for this day. A lot of things you have to be specific about and know how to prompt it in order to get it to do exactly what you want.
Yeah.
And a lot of other things it just straight up can't quite do. And so the idea behind why I think people were so compelled by this is, wouldn't it be cool if I could just talk to it like a human and it could just figure out what to do with AI and do it? And I think that's super cool. I also think it's super difficult. And so I'm curious how well this thing is actually going to work in real life. And now we have a 25-minute keynote with a whole bunch more examples, and it's very much, you know, an Apple-style, Steve Jobs-esque, like black background co-founder on the screen telling me smartphones are $700 and you have to tap the screen 8 times to call an Uber. The thing we just made, it's $200 and you just tell it to call an Uber and it does it for you. And the proposed solutions to all the problems makes perfect sense. I'm just very interested and probably a little skeptical about how good it will be at doing these things without just turning into a phone. So I'm curious what you guys thought when you saw the keynote and the announcements and what this Rabbit AI could actually be in maybe best case versus worst case.
Yeah. So the promo video that you showed, especially because they were not showing the actual device and showing how you were going to interact with it in a touch way, was kind of funny because she just says, call me an Uber. She doesn't say where, which is kind of a problem.
Mm-hmm. She also
Theoretically,
says,
she should be saying, call me an Uber home.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
And I was just going to say, at the end, she says, and tell everyone I'm going to be late.
And what does
I can't
that mean?
imagine tell everyone. She's like, contact list.
The entire contact list?
I'm going to be late.
Yeah.
And I think, so with that even, I think the believers would say it's got to be context aware. It knows where you are, and it knows that you just finished some appointment, and it knows you're going to go home. So when you say, call me an Uber, it knows your location from GPS, and it's going to know to call you an Uber home, and hopefully it gets it right. And when it says, tell everyone I'm going to be late, it knows about your next appointment at home, and it knows who's there, and so it knows to tell, like, it's going to hopefully process all of this stuff and all of this context and get it right, hopefully. It just seems like so many things it has to get right.
Yeah. They call this a large action model because with large language models, the foundation of that is a transformer, and the best part about a transformer is that it understands contexts of words, so you don't have to use like extremely specific words to trigger the assistant in the right way and interacted with it in the right way. And if you've ever like had someone who's not super tech savvy try to interact with a virtual assistant, usually it says, sorry, I don't understand, because they don't use the right trigger words.
Exactly.
So theoretically, the best part of a large language model that you would interact with your voice is that you could basically say anything and then it would be able to do it. Now, the next step of that is what Rabbit's trying to do here, where you say things to it, it understands the context of what you're saying, and it can act on those context clues. That's clearly a very big leap forward, because right now all you can really do with these large language models is like talk to an assistant and have it chat back to you.
Talk back.
So actually being able to interact with your apps is very interesting. And the reason that in the commercial they had her go, call me an Uber, like they had her do that on purpose, because it shows you that this is the way that humans actually interact with each other, and you don't have to use like very specific keywords to make it work. The way that you plug in your apps is really interesting.
Yeah, there's a whole setup.
Yeah, you can log in. So it has a little LCD screen that kind of looks like a little phone. It kind of looks like a what is the
Playdate?
The Playdate.
It's made by Teenage Engineering.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's bright orange.
Designed by
And it's got this swiveling camera and all this beautiful hardware.
It's beautiful.
But it is the size of a phone.
Yeah.
So,
well, not a whole
sort
phone.
of, yeah.
It's like a Galaxy Z Flip.
It's big enough to be like the Humane Pin whole thing was that it's like a small thing that connects to you. This AI hardware is like, it's not your phone, but you're not, they specifically said this is not getting rid of your phone, but it still is a phone-ish sized object that you're carrying around, probably exactly how you're carrying your phone around.
Right.
Yeah. The other
So just wanted to throw that out there. That is like, yeah, it is about phone size.
Marques, you're going to need more pockets.
Yeah. Running out of pockets now.
Yeah. I mean, I have to give them some credit. Like, there are things about this that actually kind of surprised me and that said, okay, that makes a lot of sense. He kept mentioning that the phone was supposed to be a thing that saved you time, but actually at this point, it's become a thing that just distracts you.
I have so many thoughts on that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think phones are the problem. I think that addictive apps are the problem, and things like social media apps, and maybe either just using your like reduced screen time thing or not having your social media apps on your phone could do this. But the big question here is like, do you need a dedicated hardware device, or could this, one, be an app, or two, won't most of these features probably get added to Google Assistant and Siri within the next year?
Within the next year, yeah.
He was very adamant about saying that apps, like we've been in this ecosystem that it's app focused, and that using apps always consists of multiple touches and different drop down menus and all sorts of different things, where if you can just speak what you want to do, it's much easier to do that than to know exactly how to use every single app, which kind of feels like, you know, our generation and the generation under us is very good at controlling apps.
Yeah.
So it's one of those weird things where this sounds like it's trying to, we've talked multiple times before about large language models being great as assistants because then people can talk to it with normal words. And like somebody troubleshooting something doesn't need to call us. They can just ask normally. That kind of sounds like what they're pointing to, but it's also new technology that, I don't know. But
where do I start?
Yeah, there's a lot there. So
a lot of people were saying if this was an app, nobody would care about it. So they had to make it both a hardware product and they had to make it really cute and fun. And that's why they got Teenage Engineering involved, which makes sense. I mean,
it's fair.
They got, I was looking into this company. They secured their Series A funding round in October, 2 months ago.
Series A?
Or 3 months ago.
Okay.
They secured their Series B funding round in December, 1 month ago. Yeah. So this is an extremely new company that's breaking onto the scene really, really fast. It's like, we were joking yesterday, it's like literally the opposite of the Humane AI
the
Pen.
Opposite, yeah.
Where Humane like hypes their product for 2 years, kind of pivots the point of their product because they were making it before like ChatGPT even came out, and then they added AI to all their stuff afterwards.
Yeah.
Whereas this is like, it's $200 versus $600.
No subscription.
There's no subscription required, although it does take a SIM card tray. So if you want it to have access to stuff all the time, you do have to pay for another cellular plan, which sucks. Or I guess you could tether off of your phone or use Wi-Fi more often, but you're going to want to be able to use it whenever, wherever.
Yeah.
So...
yeah, the Humane Pin is also a projector under your hand, which is a whole bunch of other.
It's just a whole bunch.
Just a whole bunch of other things.
The hilarious part about the Humane AI Pen is the Rabbit AI's entire thing is there are too many taps involved to do something on your phone, and the Humane AI Pen takes even more gestures to do a single task.
That's fair. Okay, so I have a bunch of things to talk about. I think so the first part is the part where apps take too many taps is debatable. I think. If you use the example of calling an Uber, for example, yes, there are a bunch of different apps you can use to call a ride to go somewhere or to do anything. And the setup process, which we're going to touch on, is you just connect your Rabbit to all of your accounts, your Spotify, your Uber, your Amazon, your eBay, everything. So it just knows with the AI where to go to do every task. So you need to call an Uber. On your phone, that's open up your phone, open the Uber app, tell it where you want to go, hit confirm, hit UberX, confirm, yes, I want to go there, and it goes to the GPS location of your phone. Maybe it's 5 taps or something, I don't know. And the idea with this best case scenario is you open it up and you just say, call me an Uber home. And it's push to talk, so it's not listening all the time, so it's nice. You don't need a special keyword. You just talk to it like a human. Call me an Uber home. and it knows based on your GPS location where you are, where home is, and it just finds an Uber and you just say confirm once and you're good. So it saved you taps, and it saved you thought because you just talk to it in a natural way. But what are the chances Uber just improves their app or Google Assistant improves with some API plugs to the point where in 2 months it can do exactly what Rabbit can do?
Extremely high chance.
I think that's very likely.
Yeah.
So that was the first thing that came to mind. But then the second thing is multimodal AI is still really cool. They did this demo of like you pointed at a fridge and hey, what can I make with these vegetables that I stacked up perfectly in the front of my
perfect fridge? The fridge that only uses the front 4 inches of each shelf.
Nothing hidden in drawers. Everything's in the front. What can I make with
all
this?
vegetables and eggs, and they made an omelet.
Yeah, you can always make an omelet. Trust me. Yeah, but the multimodal AI thing is still really fascinating because I think in general, that's where we're all going. And prompt engineering has become less and less of a skill and more just, can we make it as easy as possible for the user to just talk to it like normal and get what they want out of it? I think that's all great. I just think this could be it could have been a $50 app. I think you're right. And it would have gotten less attention, but it would have been just as useful if I just open up the Rabbit app and just say, call me an Uber. And
it's kind of, do you remember when SoundHound came out before like Google Assistant was any good? And it was way better than Google Assistant for the time. And then eventually it just kind of got worse and worse because it was better at those context clues. And then eventually it lost relevance.
Yeah,
because the big players got into it.
And when I see this, I see like this is a small device that has a camera and some processing power. It has a 2.3 gigahertz MediaTek processor, 4 gigs of memory, 128 gigs of storage. If I could find something that you still have to pull out of your pocket and you still have to have your phone.
You still have to charge and has all-day battery
life. All day battery. It has a
Mm-hmm.
camera. If I'm trying to think of something that has internal components that with better specs, a better camera, better screen
that
I'm already taking out of my pocket.
And you're already charging?
I could do all of this.
Yeah.
If it had an app to tell it to do all of this, this is just
or if they just update the existing assistants.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like Google made a big push in like 2021 where they added these API plugs for apps so that you could do things with Google Assistant. I remember they sent me sent me those like self-lacing Nike training shoes along with like a MyFitnessPal like thing because they launched this plugin with MyFitnessPal where you can say, "Hey G, add this to MyFitnessPal," and it just does it, right? So they already have those kind of things, but the missing link right there was the better natural language processing through transformers, which will get added to Google Assistant within a year.
Yeah, this and this isn't to take away from some of the impressive things that they did software wise and AI wise, like the LAM versus they showed pretty briefly. I wish they explained it a little more, but just kind of like how it can take action in different apps and how it's connected to that. And then also that they did the like watch me do this mid-journey in Discord, which is really cool and you can train it. But all of that could be an app on better hardware that you own already, because if it's not replacing a phone, this can't make phone calls as far as I can tell.
I think someone said it can make phone calls.
Then it's weird calling it not a phone because it is kind of a phone. Like this is just a different phone.
But you don't scroll an existing UI.
Yeah, it's not an app-based operating system, which is what they were like very adamant about.
You know what? Remember when we got new launchers every couple months? This would have been a sick launcher.
This would be a sick launcher.
Like on an Android phone, if it's just the Rabbit launcher and you open it up and it's just a full screen Rabbit, which is what they're doing. It's just a full screen Rabbit and you talk to the Rabbit, you're like, call me an Uber. And the Rabbit bounces a few times and it's like, all right, I did it.
Yeah.
I used the Uber app behind you and I called you an Uber.
Yeah.
And now it's working. I want to try something real quick.
You want me to try and call?
I just want to see if Google Assistant, how close does Google Assistant get to just doing what this does? Just call me an Uber home.
Call me an Uber to Newark Airport.
You'd like me to call you by the name an Uber to Newark Airport.
Clearly, the context clues are not there.
I'm so glad you guys laughed because I just thought it was right and I was about to hit yes.
Call me
Call me an Uber to Newark Airport. Hi, an Uber to Newark Airport. I'm Google Assistant.
Okay, so that did not work.
Yeah.
Okay, wait. Regarding the R1, I do have two things I want to say.
Yeah.
One, last year, which was on like 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, I said that the trend of 2024 was going to be colorful things. And here we are. It's like a bright orange.
It looks good.
Yep.
Only one color.
It's the best part about it. Yeah.
I know. It looks great. The second thing is I feel like just with this and all AI stuff in general, it assumes a level of trust that I don't have with like my phone right now. Like I will call an Uber and still look at the map and make sure this guy is coming to me.
I want to just for if your level of trust is in privacy things, because that's what I first thought of.
That too,
that's
though.
different.
Yeah.
But what you're mostly saying is execution.
Yeah. Also, privacy was a whole other thing. But I just mean, like, will this thing work?
Yes.
Most people don't even trust their technology to do the thing they're doing.
I also think we have a natural tendency to shop a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, yes, call an Uber is fine if you are not price sensitive to the ride and you're just like, get me home. I don't care. Make it an Uber. But some people also have Lyft and they'll check both. And they had this whole segment in the thing where it was like, plan me a trip, plan me a vacation to London. Let me see some cool sights and let it be a relaxed schedule. And it's like, all right, I've got your flights, your hotel and everything. I'm like,
if you trust it that much.
I really don't want to just go to the first option. I'd rather shop. And I think that's a natural tendency.
If you were able to just say, call me a car home, make it the cheapest option, I don't care about comfort, and it was able to search Lyft and Uber and then figure out which was cheaper and then call it.
And then you get a 1-star Uber ride home because it's the cheapest. There's a lot of stuff shopping around. You kind of want to find that balance. An airplane, I would never trust it. Just be like, get me a flight there. And it's like, are we? It did say make us all sit together. So it's like, are we all sitting in the back of the plane in the cheapest flight? And I have no carry-on luggage or like,
You're next to the emergency door.
Right next to the plug so my phone could fly out.
Very interesting thing about this product is that it is a universal it's a universal product that can access any app and do anything theoretically. So we talked a little bit about this earlier, but there's this training mode where effectively it's on your computer. It's like a web-based portal, and you show it a website that you're trying to interact with or like a service that you're trying to interact with, and you're basically training the AI what it means to interact with that service and the way that you would interact with it. And then once you're done training it, theoretically you can just use prompts on your phone or on not your phone, maybe in the future on your phone, on the R1, and then it's able to kind of go through that process for you. So in the demo that they played in the introduction video, it showed him like creating an image through Midjourney through Discord, and it recorded the session. And then when he says create this thing, it just pulls up the images on his Rabbit R1.
It goes through the whole process.
Because
it's
it
like
does
macros.
It's like a macro.
So in the off chance that one of the 20 apps that they support off the bat isn't one of the things you want to use. Like, let's say they only have Spotify and Apple Music, and there's a song you want to listen to on SoundCloud. Well, then you have to train it for SoundCloud, do the UI on the computer, make sure it knows what it means to go to SoundCloud to look for something. And then when you say, R1, play me that song from last night on SoundCloud, it will know what that means and how to do it. Because you trained it.
I do like that as a concept because Google in June of 2023 released Google Assistant for developers, where developers can plug into the Google Assistant so that you can have an open API where you can like have it access your app and do different actions. But APIs for developers are famously like, this happens all the time. Razer will release some crazy new RGB API and nobody uses it in their game or their application. Like they have a couple of partners that do it at launch and nobody else does it. So being able to theoretically access anything by just training it yourself is a very cool concept. Now, this is going to be hilarious to see how this actually works in real life. Because if you train something to do it and then you're out and you need it to be able to do that and then it just doesn't work, then you got to pull out your phone, and that's a problem.
Or if the UI changes on the site, or if something changes. Like if there's one thing I know about macros is that you spend 45 minutes setting it up, and then the next week the website tweaks something a little bit in the background, it breaks everything you built. That's just a thing that happens. So
Or the web page is scrolled down by 25%, and so it clicks on the wrong thing.
I will say that feature is the reason it was in my cart for like an hour, and I was debating buying it for so long.
I agree.
That feature could be sick.
I think there's like kind of two ways I see this going, and one is this turns into an app on your phone. And I think this company gets bought out and some other company uses it in that. So I think that's the way it goes where it makes a ton of money. The way it goes where people buy this R1 hardware product is using the learning thing by figuring out very specific tasks to do that makes their workflow a little easier. Because I don't think $200 is the worst price. The product looks cool. And if you can figure out to some very specific thing that you nail every time, Adam brought up, remember the Spotify CarPlay thing that was like really dumb and no one really wanted it. But then people started finding ways to like attach it to their computer
to
as
do
this
exactly what they want.
Yes, side screen. Like I think people are going to find some like hacky, really cool methods using the learning manual or module and this just being a cool looking device.
Yeah.
Some people are going to do some cool stuff with it.
This is a company that actually should have a store where you can upload your actions that other people can just download, because that would be really cool if other people could just train it for you and then you could pull it down.
My question was also going to be, does this live on the hardware? Like what happens if I buy this thing, I teach it a bunch of different macros, I'm doing the thing, and in a year or two, the company goes out of business or they get bought. Then what? Does it still work? Do I need to, is it just a pretty paperweight at that point? Like,
well, it's $200, which is not a small amount of money, but I think when you compare to like the Humane AI pin,
they took shots a lot.
They took a lot of shots.
They did directly. They showed it on screen. Yeah. That's a valid question. I don't know if that's planned. The Steam Deck? Stream Deck. The Stream Deck with a bunch of buttons, and you can map those buttons to macros.
I did that.
This is like a tiny internet connected, beautiful Stream Deck.
Every time we start a new episode, I press a button and the new folders pop up on my desktop, perfect file structure, all that stuff. But there's certain things also that I do that with a visual component like this would be super cool.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if this would work.
If that teaching process can actually work for people are going to love it just for that one function. And I think that's awesome. People will spend $200 for that.
Edit the whole podcast.
Yeah. Hit the button. Learn from me editing this episode and edit the next episode.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see if that ends up being the thing that most people gravitate to. But in the meantime, it is fascinating to see if it can pull off any of these other really broad tasks.
I think there's an analogy to like the Palm phone with this device, because they don't want it to replace your phone, he says, yet. But it can do almost everything that your phone could do. I don't think it can do messaging.
If it can't do messaging or calls, then that's the problem with it, I think, is then you can't. So like the one, sorry to interrupt a little bit, you can still, but like the one thing about the Humane pin that I'll give it credit for is like it still has that connectivity. So like I think they're trying to say throw your phone in your backpack like the Palm phone. You don't need all the things on your phone when you're walking around. You can get some basic things out of a small thing on your, but this is like, you still need your phone in your pocket because there's still going to be, hell, even ordering an Uber, you might need to pull your phone out to know what address you're going to. So now you're looking at your phone and speaking into a thing in your other hand.
Well, this has a screen though, and it can probably show you.
But can you like search up, I guess you could say, hey, look at my email for this address I got
it
sent,
needs to be
or
so
like something like
aware.
that.
Yeah.
This assumes there's a digital trail for everything. Like what if you just told me about this new pizza place down the block and I'm like, oh, take me to this new pizza. And it's like, what are you talking about?
It's got to remember everything it hears, sees, if it's poking into your email, your calendar, everything. For it to be fully context aware, it needs the context of all the things a human assistant.
They never mentioned phone calls or text messages, right? I guess it said
they never.
I think that
they said tell people.
Calls. I remember someone talking about that. But
so then this is just a phone.
A smaller, cheaper, less powerful phone with much better natural language and a much worse screen and camera.
I'd be willing to try to use this as my phone for a week.
Here's the thing. Like, I like the idea. Like, if this idea actually got built out and people found use in it, and people could use it, I would like a premium version of this, because this is like a cheap plastic. It'd be kind of cool to have like an OLED made of metal.
Yeah, I'm shocked. It looked like an LCD.
It's definitely an LCD.
I would love an OLED.
I honestly thought you were joking and you were just going to list off phone stuff. No. I literally thought you were just joking when you were saying that.
I don't know.
Because I thought that's basically what you said.
If I'm like...
I just wish this was a phone.
If I'm just... Yeah, I mean... I might just be coping right now. If I'm just like going to go to the city to have drinks with my friends, and all I need to do is to be able to, I mean, I guess I use like Apple Pay or Android Pay to be able to, Google Pay, to be able to, I don't know. It's
now I wanted to, like pulling this up, right. Like pay this cashier $5.75, and then you like hold it next to the.
Yeah, okay, that's the other problem. That's the other major problem, is that everything is voice-based.
Is it? Yeah,
that's like a huge problem. They do have a keyboard option that you can type in, I think.
Yeah, and you have to press on it. So it is touchscreen because you have to confirm.
But it's a very small keyboard in that way. Yeah. And so having to talk everything that you want to do when you're around other people is very frustrating.
It's a lot of talking.
It's a lot of talking.
And listening.
Yeah. So it basically assumes no social media and no messaging. And the messaging part is the thing that is going to be difficult.
So it's supposed to be able to tell all your friends are going to be late. But if one of your friends replies...
Tell everyone.
It will probably speak it out loud and then also show it on screen.
Yeah.
Maybe. But how would they reply if is it a phone number?
A separate...
unclear.
Because it's not your main messaging number.
It could be a data-only SIM, but maybe it...
But then you're
that was not really detailed.
Is it Android? Are you a green bubble?
Probably.
Not if you can teach it to be a blue bubble and then
teach it to like scrape iMessage. They specifically they made like a slight at Beeper in the keynote, which I think was a slight at Beeper.
It definitely
they said
was.
we're not taking advantage of
tricking their infrastructure or something like
tricking
that.
other companies' infrastructure. I was like, wow, they're taking shots at literally.
You can tell how recently all of this came together. How recent the slights are.
The funny thing, it was I don't know. It seems actually fairly built out. The product, considering they only got funding in October. But
it seems very interesting. I mean, we've been talking about it for like 20-something minutes, like mission accomplished.
We have. Twitter has not. I've seen almost nothing on Twitter about this.
Well, I've been tagged in
nothing not paid for yet.
Some people who are basically tagging me in the keynote being like, you got to review this. This is interesting.
The thing is, if Google Assistant
adds this feature
and or Siri could just do this, then you just don't need another product. I don't want to charge another thing, you know?
Yeah.
That's the main thing for me. It only lasts a day. I don't want to charge another thing. And I don't want to pay for another cellular plan just to have another device.
To give them credit, it's been a long time since Siri's gotten meaningfully better.
Yes.
But I fully agree. It feels like Google Assistant is on the doorstep of doing a lot of this stuff.
This is happening. I/O, we're going to see this product launch as Google Assistant.
Yeah, and it's going to be orange. In orange mode.
This feels like the prime question of product or feature.
Yes.
I think so.
100%.
Yeah.
It's like...
it's Clubhouse.
Yeah.
This is the hardware Clubhouse. Wow. That sounds so mean. I'm sorry, Rabbit. I don't mean it like that.
Whoa.
Yeah. Platformer feature.
The thing is I actually think there's going to be a really cool like modding community that does some really cool things with these later, and it's going to be a super niche, and there's going to be a million Discord servers.
I'm like okay with that.
Things. I think it's cool, and since it's cheaper, I think that'll be the best part.
Yeah.
Probably not what you're looking for as a company with probably hundreds of millions of dollars in capital funded, but
I think it's very smart of them to make it out of really cheap materials for a relatively affordable price, because it's an untested kind of product that they don't even know if people want yet or if it'll work. And so if they can get it in more people's hands and then the ecosystem gets built out, then maybe they turn into a company where they can make more premium versions of it and stuff. Whereas Humane is going like ultra premium. We spent a ton of R&D money on the projector, you know.
And the Rabbit still looks better than it.
Yeah.
Although they are still a bit different. There obviously are
different sizes.
AI hardwares that are directly competing with each other, although one has a screen, one has a projector, one's a pin, one's a half of a phone. I
have a question.
I'm confused in the whole
Do you think the Rabbit R1 runs Android?
I think it does.
Probably.
It almost definitely does.
Right?
Yeah. It has
Yeah. So it is a green bubble.
It's green bubble.
But it's like what? Yeah, definitely. Almost definitely. But would you have to do it from? Yeah, I don't know.
Would you rather be a green bubble or never message ever?
You know what's wild? There's so many questions about this product, and it comes out in March. It comes out on Easter.
I'm going to try to review it. I want to try it. Man.
Yeah.
I want to try every single prompt that was in the commercial and see exactly what it does. Connect all my accounts and just send it.
We're apparently getting review units fairly soon.
I want to try it. Yeah.
And not if they listen to this episode.
Well, I want to give them a chance for it to work well. It could be awesome.
No, I want to try it for sure.
I am delighted by the idea. There are so many unanswered
That's
questions.
a great way of putting it. If the idea is so delightful and I would love for it to be true, I just have a hard time believing that
that's going to be reality.
Similar to the VinFast pickup truck at CES. I'm delighted by the idea.
Yeah.
We'll see.
How dare you say that about VinFast?
We'll see how close.
The $200 price tag makes all of these questions far more palatable.
Yeah, if this was like $800, everyone would laugh at it.
Yeah.
And no one would buy it. But yeah.
Well, we shall see.
All right.
We shall see. We'll leave it at that. I feel like we'll learn a lot more. Obviously, this pod comes out. You'll all see probably some more people testing it, some videos from CES maybe. We'll keep an eye on all of that, but that's basically it for what we wanted to talk about this week.
Yeah.
Which means that we should tee it up for trivia.
Trivia. So, quick update on the score. Marques with 20, Andrew with 14, David with 1, 2.
What?
Carry the one.
Okay.
20. Yes.
That's new.
Also, shout out to
120?
Mariah. Yeah, it was just 20.
Carry the 120.
Shout out to Mariah for holding this down last week while I was on vacation, by the way. Thank you.
I hope you guys know more about crowd ads.
What? Crod?
Crowd ads.
Oh.
Yeah. We got a lot of things wrong about crowd ads last week. I want to put that out there.
Yeah, they triple in size every month.
Apparently, they triple in volume.
It's double in volume.
Double in volume.
It's not exponential growth. There are not 30-meter crowd ads.
As excited as
for anyone who believed that, yeah,
as pumped as I was to realize in the moment that there were 30 meters across. Yeah, no, just volume.
I wish. Okay.
Wait, I don't know if you want to say it, but do you want to say a special thing that happened while you were gone?
So I was on vacation and I got engaged to my lovely girlfriend, Jessica.
Not your girlfriend anymore. You can't
now
call
she's
her
my
that.
fiance. Yeah, thank you.
You gotta get used to. You gotta get used to two things. You have to get used to saying "my fiance," and you gotta get used to writing 2024. It's gonna take a while.
That's gonna take
Everyone has to start writing Adam's fiance.
Yeah. All right. First question.
Okay.
The Apple Vision Pro external battery pack is stated at 2 to 2.5 hours with an asterisk. Those 4 things that they use to test the battery life are video playback, internet browsing, spatial video capture, and what popular Apple first-party app?
Do you think the Vision Pro can have multiple timers? Do you think the Vision Pro has a calculator?
If it has a calculator but the iPad doesn't,
that'd be so funny.
I would love that. I would love that. They are video playback, internet browsing, spatial video capture, and what popular Apple first-party app?
Okay.
Flip them and read.
I feel very confident, so now I'm worried.
I wrote 2 things.
Okay, yeah.
All right.
I put photos, Apple Photos.
Nope.
I put FaceTime.
Correct.
I also wrote FaceTime.
Correct.
Dang.
I had also written messaging because I wasn't sure if it was
I was
both
thinking about messaging.
or just FaceTime.
I was gonna put messages
Because FaceTime takes a lot of
that's what I would think.
like data and stuff.
I would also think that spatial video would take a lot. So it's surprising that Apple actually.
Well, I get
because video playback is like okay.
Playback is nothing.
Yeah, but
capture is a little more.
But in terms of like doing battery life, you're spending way more time on FaceTime than you're spending on taking a video or
But that means
or
that it'll
looking
have
at
better.
photos.
Maybe they're under promising and over delivering.
That would be nice because I assume if I just Safari browse or just watch a movie, it'll last longer than 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
I just found it funny that it thinks that those are the 4 most popular things people are going to be doing.
Oh, that doesn't mean that at all. That just means that they thought that's a good number.
I'm sure they have data that shows.
I bet they're.
You know,
if you read
they don't just pick things.
They're going to push
There's a bunch of
FaceTime.
pages for the way Apple measures iPhone battery life.
Yeah.
And it's very often like web browsing, video playback, a couple things that they know will last a long time, and just a cycle of like 4. And they're like things that people do on your phone, but very.
But
not
spatial
battery
video
intensive.
capture?
I'm not sure yet how intensive that is.
Why include that?
They pushed FaceTime real hard in the
they
keynote though, like because you get to make your whole like 3D face of everything.
Your avatar, yeah.
All right, yeah, that was first question. Okay. Second question. Which of these isn't a real kind of horsepower? A, drawbar horsepower. B, water wheel horsepower. C, electric horsepower. Or D, boiler horsepower. There's a bunch more too, which was interesting. There's like 7 or 8 that I saw on the Wikipedia page.
Whoa. Brake horsepower?
Yeah.
We need some new markers in here.
Dang, we do. I'm trying to channel my inner Ellis while he's on the CES show floor. Which of these is not real? All right, flip them and read.
We all put electric.
You all put electric horsepower?
Yeah.
Oh, really? I thought it was a trick question.
Electric
Or not
horsepower?
Yeah, like
electric horsepower is the power output is ordinarily stated in watts or kilowatts in the United States. The power output is stated in horsepower, which for this purpose is defined as exactly 746 watts. That's electric horsepower.
746.
I just assumed there was
Just say
obviously
kilowatts. I didn't realize. I guess people usually just say it's X kilowatts.
Yeah, that would be like 0.7.
I thought it was like trick question where like we do consider the power from electric to be horsepower, but you call it something different when you're calling.
I was hoping that would trick you up.
The reason I picked it was because all of the cars that are electric that are out now, we just rate in horsepower. So like, why wouldn't we rate it in electric horsepower?
A lot of them will have a slide that just says, "Oh, 200 kilowatts."
Or I thought it said like equivalent horsepower.
It is, yeah. There's an equation to get from kilowatts to horsepower.
But is it called electric horsepower?
Yep.
Well, so what's
the fake one that I made up was water wheel horsepower.
That sounds real.
I was pretty into that. I was pretty convinced about the boat version.
Yeah, like a
of
turbo.
horsepower.
I had a whole explanation. The power a water wheel would give in a stream of water moving at 10 meters per second after one full rotation of 360 degrees.
That would have thrown me off.
10 meters per second is really fast.
Yeah, it is.
Maybe 1 meter per second. Okay. All right. We got though.
You got.
Got him.
Good job.
Well,
okay.
I hope we all learned something today, both about VinFast and electric horsepower
and CLTC.
So
everything is just an acronym.
Yeah,
Rabbit R1.
It's just
CLTC.
R1.
Yeah.
It's VinFast.
It's a Lamb large action model.
It's Apple Vision Pro head strap.
Strap.
It's Waveform.
It's Waveform. It's WVFRM, baby.
Or WAVEFORM.
That's not an acronym.
That's not how you spell it.
Yeah.
Take us out, Marques.
Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for subscribing. And catch you guys next week. Peace.
Bye.
Waveform is produced by Adam Molina and Ellis Rovin. We're partnered with Vox Media Podcast Network, and our intro-outro music was created by Vane Sill.
And with that, we'll talk about rabbits now.
Dude, foxes are terrifying.
That's a fox now?
They can go, yeah, they literally just scream.
That is actually scary. No, that's a hyena.
No. There's a video of a fox just like
There's fox
giggling.
They do that for like a prolonged amount of time, and it's awful.